Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of the ActionsOfTheTrader.com nightly update. Hope everybody is doing well. Guys, take a moment out, support your boy. Takes a second out, doesn't cost you a dime. Click a like, share the video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So let's talk about it. I only got a few minutes. I am probably going to the Rutgers-Siena women's basketball game today. Long story. So I got a couple of minutes. Anyway, maybe I won't. Maybe I will. I'm trying to weasel my way out. Hopefully my wife takes over. So let's talk about it, right? So last week we saw 3.3% decline in the NASDAQ 100, right? QQQs went down over 3%. Bitcoin fell over 30% from the last month's peak. And it looked like it was the end of the world. We've been pretty much sell biased this market for the last 3 weeks, but definitely for the last week and a half since we lost the 50-day moving average. And the one common denominator we talked about over and over, especially in the weekend video, was you're going to have very, very aggressive spikes, right? But until we reclaim back the 50-day moving average, that's all they are, is just spikes, a lot of noise, don't get comfortable. I'm a little bit different today in my little bit of a tune, right? So this morning we had a pretty nice gap up, okay, as everybody saw. And, usually when you get a lot of gap ups, especially in a market that's trading underneath daily supply, you're going to have a lot of volatility, right? The one thing we did see last week was a lot of volatility, okay? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Stocks go up, stocks go down. This is all in the same candle. Tesla up 20, Tesla down 20, NVIDIA goes up 6, down 4, back to 3. We didn't have that today, right? We didn't have that today. It was a scenario, if you look at the QQQs, this is a 60-minute chart, we did not have a red bar. Okay, these are all hourly candles. We did not have a red bar till 3 o'clock. Okay, and there was a little bit of a dump, after into the close. And as you can see here, after hours, we're still developing some pretty green candles. So we had a really very organic, lack of volatility day, kind of a March, right? It was kind of a March. So that was very, very bullish. You had Bitcoin rebound from 80,000 over the weekend, or last Friday, I think it was, to currently trading around 88,000 now. So you had a 10% move from the recent lows. And the one thing that I really did like what I saw today versus what I saw all those forced rallies last week, we finally started seeing some deep out of the money option flow, which we have not seen now in 3 weeks. And today we saw some pretty good flow today. Apple, right? They were coming very, very aggressively for the weekly 280s. Okay, that's a good thing, right? That's a very, very good thing. Tesla, the buyers came back today. Okay, the buyers came back. Again, the stock still is structurally wrong. Okay, we're below the 50-day moving average by about roughly 13, 14 points. But at least today, you finally saw some pretty aggressive call buying coming in. Again, we haven't seen that in a very, very long time. Google, who's been an absolute shining star, guys. Can we acknowledge the stock? It's an absolute rising star. And, can you imagine if this market was good, right? The stock would be at 400. And, they were coming very, very aggressively today for the 330 weeklies. We saw some 340s coming in for next week. So you had a very organic, slow non-event, which is a good thing, kind of rise, stairway to Kevin. We had no volatility. We had no headlines. We had no pullbacks. We had crypto coming back, which is, again, speculation money. That's what you want to see. And now we have the deep out of the money call buyers as well. So now the question is, here we are again. Can we finally get over the 50-day moving average? And the reason why we say we're here again, guys, we closed at 605, right? 605 was the closing price. The 50-day moving average is the 607s area that we've been talking about for the last 3 days. Can the market finally get over the hump? Okay, based on what we saw today, it's at least encouraging. Okay, if we had one of these crazy days up, up 300, down 300, I'd be like, "Yo, listen, there's no way in hell I'm not buying anything." And I'll be honest with you. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I was in denial today in the first hour. I was like, "I'm not buying any stocks. We're below the 50-day moving." Until I started seeing the option flow. Right, we saw Meta come in. I traded today Meta. I traded today Meta for some cash flow. I traded today some Tesla on the bounce for some cash flow. But the point is, just like everybody else, I had trust issues, right? I had trust issues, and you turn around and you go, wait a minute, these stocks are not going down, right? They're not going down. The daily charts are not great, but at least for one day, they're not going down. And we pretty much closed within $1 or so of the highs on the QQQs. As you can see, again, that 607 level is super duper important. Qs got rejected. I'm not even sure where they got rejected today, but off what supply? Looks like they got rejected off the 20-day. Trying to see where they got rejected. But more important is the high today was like 606 60s. So we need to get back above 607. We need to close back 607. And if that happens, tell your kids, wake them up in the middle of the night. Tell them, if you have young kids, Santa Claus is coming back. The key is they got to get back above 607. Is it possible today was just an orderly rally and tomorrow they test the 607 and they get rejected? Of course, that's the whole point, right? Until we get above, we're still below, but at least it was encouraging. This is literally the first time in 3 weeks I could turn around and go, the market actually looked pretty damn good today. Now the question is, how many daily charts are there for you to trade to get an expanded move, right? So obviously we know Google. Google looks absolutely amazing. Monster move. Apple. Apple looks really, really good. I really like Apple tomorrow. It starts taking out the October highs. This thing could really, really go. Again, beautiful charts, right? Beautiful charts. Avago, Avago is one of these stocks that is still above the 50-day moving average. Looks like the October highs looks like to be in sync. Meta today had a lot of call buying. This is one of the reasons I traded Meta today. They were coming off the bottom right around here. Right when they got above the 10-day moving average, buyers were coming in for the 620 and 630 weeklies. Why is that important? Guys, that's 10, 15 points out of the money, 20 points out of the money. You can see here the next supply. This is the first close above the 10-day moving average. This is the first close. So the next measure potential is roughly the 630 level. So you have room. So when you're doing your chart work today, you want to make sure you're concentrating on names that have room. So for example, Tesla, although it's still below the 50-day moving average. Again, I don't need to get a 200-point move in one day. I'd like it, but I don't need it, right? So you can see today it stopped at the 20-day supply. Again, by the time Tesla starts really breaking out, I'm even going to tell you, same way I told you on the Qs where they need to relay, like Tesla needs to close like above 434 for it to be an overnight. Okay, again, I will never take a stock overnight if it's below the 50-day moving average, but at least for tomorrow, right? And again, it's all about tomorrow. It's not about a month from now, a year from now. It's all about tomorrow. If Tesla could get back above the 20-day moving average, why can't we get a move to test the 50-day moving average? There's a lot of room here. They talk about like 10 to 15 points of potential room. So if there is a scenario tomorrow for another day of rallying and we can finally get back above the 50-day moving average, then yes, absolutely, we go back into buy mode. That's a really big, strong buy signal, but their bull is going to have to do it. They can't fumble it. They can't do anything stupid. They can't drop the ball tomorrow. It has to happen tomorrow. If they don't happen tomorrow, or if we get rejected off the 50-day moving average, bounce failed. Here we go back to the lows of the day. So let me give you some ideas. So I like Tesla tomorrow above the 20-day moving average. Like I said, I like Apple if it gets above the October highs. AMD, one of the very few names that are very, very close to reclaiming back the 50-day moving average. If you guys remember, AMD had this amazing, amazing run. As you can see today, it tried to get back above the 50-day moving average and got rejected. If it could get back above the 50-day moving average, AMD can wake up as well. If you look at a lot of other names, they're not here or there. They're gonna need a lot of work to get going. So for example, if you look at all the other former leaders, PLTR is man, it's going to need God, man. It's going to really need a lot of work. Look how many supply zones you have. So there's no room here. So you're not really concentrating on a stock that has no room. Like, look, for example, like Amazon, right? Amazon today is trying to get back. Wow, I didn't realize it was almost getting above back to 50-day moving average. But again, look how much supply you have, right? You have all the supplies. Because again, it's not really a name. I'm not saying it can't go higher, because if everything goes higher tomorrow, everything will get pulled up. But again, you want to get names that have a big potential of the next supply zone being far away. So for example, NVIDIA is a cluster, right? Look how much supply there is. There's just no room. It's going to need a couple of gaps just to get it going. So if you are charting tonight, and again, I really suggest every single trader, I don't care how long you're trading, I don't care what your process is, continue to chart every single night. It's all muscle memory. You're going to have the ability to eventually figure out what's clean and what's cluttered. There's a lot of charts that are still cluttered. The majority of charts are still cluttered just because we are still below the 50-day moving average. But tomorrow, that 607, 607.40s area is the battle line, the line that's drawn in the sand, the price action, whatever, the price discovery area, any adjective you want to use to describe the importance. Bulls need to get above that level, close above that level. And again, like I said, wake your kids up and tell them Santa's coming to town. Guys, have a great night, everybody. God bless. I'll see you on the field tomorrow.